Matt Hetherington from MHTableTennis.com here again with another addition to my Service Masterclass series of videos that I've been putting out in the past number of days. Today's video is going to focus on the differences between a short and a high toss serve. I've had a few people asking me about what the benefits of using high toss serves are. So I'm going to best demonstrate and focus on the high toss serve as best I can with a roof above me. And hopefully you can understand a little bit more about why perhaps using a high toss serve might be more valuable for you in certain situations or to achieve certain service results. Of course, I've already filmed and produced 5 videos, so if you head over to my YouTube channel at MHTableTennis or over to my blog at MHTableTennis.com, you'll find those videos there, and on YouTube they're in a playlist called Service Masterclass. So thank you again for joining me, and we're going to talk a little bit now about the high toss serve. First of all, it's important to focus on the theory side of it. So why would we use a high toss serve? What are the benefits of using a high toss serve, and what makes a high toss serve different from a shorter toss serve? So obviously the main factor is the height of the ball toss. Why do we throw the ball up higher than we usually would? And it's very much to do with downward force and downward acceleration and creating more friction. So I've always found that using a high toss serve is extremely good for creating more kick serves, because we're contacting the ball on the bottom. And a lot of players have trouble hitting that bottom axis of the ball. And so sometimes using a higher ball toss helps us with that contact on the bottom, because we're kind of catching the ball on the way through. So the first thing is that the ball will accelerate down faster. So obviously gravity is helping the ball drop. If you throw the ball up higher, it's going to build up more momentum on the way down. And then as you strike and accelerate through the ball, it creates more friction on the ball, which in turn allows you to generate more spin. So that's one of the main reasons that people like to use the high toss serve, because it accelerates down and builds more momentum. The second reason is that some players feel that they get better timing with the high toss serve. They have more rhythm in throwing the ball high and waiting and building up, and then contacting the ball. So those are 2 important reasons why people would use a high toss serve. A third reason is that sometimes using a high toss serve can be a little more distracting to your opponent, because the contact of the ball is only a very, very small part of the overall service action. And by making the service action or the service process longer, you then reduce the amount of time within that service action of the ball contact. So by throwing the ball higher and spending more time in the preparation, you're then distracting, and there are more things going on before and after this small service contact. One of the things you have to be extra conscious of when you're executing a high toss serve is making sure that your ball toss stays near vertical. So in the ITTF rules, the angle is what's measured. So it's the angle of your ball toss, which makes it a little bit easier with the high toss serve to have some small movements. And you'll notice players like Ovcharov, who uses a high toss on his tomahawk serve, actually throws the ball up here and then contacts the ball in the other half. Well, the rules are interpreted as the angle of the ball toss being near vertical. So a high toss serve can also help you in matches. Say if you're having trouble with umpires faulting your serve for being thrown backwards or towards your body or sideways, then you can use a high toss serve to try and change the angle, the overall angle of that ball toss. But it's very important that when you're starting the service motion, first of all, you have to keep your hand as flat as possible. Once you start cupping your hand or having your hand in kind of different positions when you throw the ball, it becomes a lot easier and more likely for the ball to start moving. So for this serve, you want to hold your hand as flat as possible. And then the easiest way to make sure it's going to be straight is that we just drop the hand a little bit, making sure that we keep it above the table surface. And then we're just going to push up a tiny bit through our toes, and then bring our hand up just a little bit with it. We don't want it to go too high. And then make sure we clear that hand so that we keep the serve legal, because that's important when you're playing, especially when you're playing tournaments with umpires or international competitions, that we get the ball up and then clear this hand. So that's a very important factor, and I know that players that use high toss serves a lot and are playing in international tournaments sometimes just spend time practicing their ball toss and making sure that when they throw the ball up, that it's near vertical. It's also very important when we're doing a high toss serve that we control where the contact of the ball is. And with the high toss serve, in order to allow the ball to build up as much momentum as possible on the way down, we want to make sure that the contact is low. So we want to keep the contact low and close to the table, where we're kind of coming underneath the ball and then catching the ball on the way through. After you've made sure that your ball toss is straight, you're going to start moving into your serves. So it's very important with the high toss serve that this remains loose, because we really need to build up some acceleration to get that friction on the ball. So a lot of the times when you see players throw the ball up, this arm becomes very loose and very relaxed, and you'll see them tighten up on the contact, which is a theory that I've brought into a lot of my service videos already so far, that they wait for the ball to come down, and timing is essential for these high toss serves, that when the ball is coming down, you make sure that your contact is going to be lined up where the ball is coming down, and it helps when your body is forward so that you can predict, and if the ball is straight, you can know where you're going to contact the ball relative to your body, and you're going to line up the acceleration and kind of come into the ball and then tighten on the way through. And usually these motions can be a little bit shorter because players tend to really build a lot of tightness and acceleration in their thumb and finger. So they're kind of catching the bottom of the ball and then really accelerating. I'm going to demonstrate now some higher toss serves. It might be a little bit more challenging for me with the height of the ceiling, but I will do my best, and hopefully you'll be able to see, especially with the kick serves, that I can get a lot of deviation when I'm building that acceleration into the contact on the bottom of the ball or on the side of the ball, that I can get a lot of rotation and spin. And you can just see that I have this timing where I take my time and prepare, and I know exactly when I'm going to contact the ball, so I build that acceleration before contacting the ball. For backspin high toss serves, and a common example of that is Marlene's ghost serve, you can actually tilt your racket back so that you're meeting this downwards force with an upwards motion, and that's going to get you a lot of backwards rotation that helps kick the ball backwards after going over the net. So I'll show you a few examples of that now. We can also look at topspin and side spin variations. So I find there are two good ways to do that. We can either contact the bottom of the ball or use the pendulum motion and contact the side of the ball. I find the pendulum motion more useful when I'm trying to get a wider serve that breaks the table, and I use the bottom of the ball when I want to get more kick and I want more deviation after the second bounce. The other thing that we need to have in our repertoire is a long fast serve from the high toss, and this is a difficult area that people don't often practice. And in terms of long fast serves, this is one of the ones where people make a lot of errors, because the timing with a high toss serve of building a lot of acceleration for a long fast serve can be a little bit difficult. So the things that you need to focus on with this are getting the timing right, making sure that you adjust so that the first bounce is closer to your side of the table, or closer to your body. You don't want it to be going too close to the net. and also building a little bit more acceleration, but doing it with that tightening motion so that instead of brushing the ball to create more spin and to create a slow trajectory, that you're actually turning it into more forward momentum. So the tightening of the racket, instead of being for gripping the ball, you're going to try and turn it into a little bit more of a forward into the ball momentum. So this is very useful with the current table tennis rules when you're serving 2 serves each, to have the ability to serve perhaps one of those 2 serves as a short serve and then try and keep that action the same but tighten through and accelerate into the ball more to create a long fast serve variation. Well, that concludes the lesson on the high toss serve, and I hope that it's given you some good reasons to consider adding this serve or improving this serve in your service repertoire. And just remember to focus on those 4 areas of making sure the service is legal with a near vertical toss, making sure that you keep the ball contact low and close to the table in order to get the most spin variation on the ball. The third one, that you keep everything loose and you focus on the timing that you're contacting the ball with the high toss. The timing is very important. And the fourth is to ensure that you have different service variations, placements, spins, movements and direction, and of course having that long fast serve variation as a backup or as an option if you need it in a match. I've had some good suggestions and we have more content coming each day. And of course, if you have suggestions on what kind of topics you would like to see, mainly focusing on service at the moment because of my situation, you can reach me at MHTableTennis@gmail.com or on my social platforms, MHTableTennis on Instagram or on Facebook. MHTableTennis blog is my Facebook page. So thank you for joining me for another one of my videos. Please, if you think friends of yours or other table tennis players, students or coaches would find this useful, make sure you share these links with them and help me try and build a little bit more of a following as we go through and produce more videos, at least in this service masterclass section of the videos that I'm doing. So thank you very much, guys.